Imagine you had the uh, the digital master keys, not just to one door, but like everything, all the critical systems, the sensitive data, the real crown jewels of a company's digital world. Now, think about hackers constantly trying to pick those locks. Or maybe worse, someone inside accidentally leaves a key lying around. How do organizations actually protect these incredibly valuable um, digital keys from both the outside threats and internal slip-ups? So today's deep dive is all about tackling that exact problem, privileged access management. You'll often hear it called PAM. We're going to look at how a leader in this area, Delinea, helps companies secure, manage, and, well, keep an eye on access to their most vital stuff. Our mission for you, the listener, is pretty straightforward. Give you the essential bits you need to understand this really crucial part of cybersecurity. We'll unpack the challenges, look at Delinea's solutions, and see how it all makes a difference in the real world for security and just getting things done efficiently. Okay, let's unpack this a bit then. When we say privileged access, what are we really getting at? I mean, we're not talking about your everyday office key, right? This is more like the super secret master key for the entire building, the one hardly anyone uses. And if that key gets into the wrong hands, well, everything's potentially compromised. So why is managing this? Why is PAM so critical right now? Especially with all these different IT setups. People have servers in the basement, stuff in the cloud, hybrid systems, even those fast-moving DevOps pipelines.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it, how the scale and the sheer complexity of this problem have just exploded. Think about this statistic. Something like over 80% of data breaches. They often involve compromised, privileged credentials. It's not always some super sophisticated, zero-day attack. Often it's just that unguarded master key that attackers go straight for. And that immediately points to the first big challenge, this constantly increased attack surface. Cybercriminals are, well, they're relentless. They know these privileged accounts are the quickest way to get to the good stuff, the critical systems and data.
So it's the path of least resistance in a way.
Exactly. But it's not just outsiders. You've also got significant insider threats. And this isn't always someone being malicious, right? It could just be carelessness, negligence from someone who's already trusted, but that can still lead to huge breaches.
Right. An accident could be just as bad.
Absolutely. Then layer on the complexity of modern IT environments. Just imagine an IT team spinning up maybe hundreds of cloud containers every single day. Temporary ones.
Yeah, ephemeral stuff.
Right. How do you make sure each one gets only the exact access it needs, just for the moment it needs it, and then vanishes without leaving any open doors? That's a modern headache. Traditional security, the static kind, just wasn't built for that.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, there's regulatory compliance, huge factor. Things like GDPR, IPA, PCI DSS, they aren't just guidelines. They actually demand strong controls, detailed auditing. So compliance isn't optional anymore. It's baked into security.
Non-negotiable.
Precisely. And finally, trying to manage all this privileged access manually, it leads to massive operational inefficiencies. It's slow, it's easy to make mistakes, and it just doesn't scale up.
Okay, wow. So it sounds like these aren't just like tech problems for the IT folks. They hit the whole organization's security, their compliance, even just how smoothly things run day to day.
Yeah.
Real foundational issues. So Delinea comes into this picture. How do they start building that that fortress you mentioned earlier? How do they approach tackling all these different challenges?
Yeah, you've really nailed the core idea there. Building that fortress, it definitely needs a strategy with multiple layers. For Delinea, it basically comes down to focusing on automation, really advanced granular security controls, and making sure everything integrates smoothly across a company's whole digital setup. We tend to focus on 5 core capabilities that really form the bedrock of this approach. First up, there's secure credential storage and management. Pretty fundamental. This is all about securely storing every single privileged account, credential, passwords, keys, secrets inside an encrypted digital vault. Our main product here is Delinea's secret server. But it's more than just a digital safe, It automates things like password rotation. So credentials are always changing, minimizing the time they could be misused if exposed, and it helps enforce consistent security policies everywhere.
Okay, so it's not just locking the passwords away, it's actively managing them, keeping them fresh, which kind of leads right into the next capability, just-in-time access, or JIT, right? Because even a rotated password, if it's always available, is still a potential risk.
Absolutely, great point. JIT access is all about granting access that's temporary. time-limited, only for when it's needed for critical systems.
Mm-hmm.
This drastically cuts down that window of permanent exposure. It usually involves things like multi-factor authentication, maybe approval workflows too.
Okay.
Secret Server has JIT built in, and another product, Delinea's Privilege Manager, kind of extends this idea out to endpoints, laptops, servers, and applications. It allows for really dynamic, context-aware controls based on who the user is and what specific task they're trying to do. So if someone only needs access for, say, 15 minutes to patch a server, they get it for exactly 15 minutes and no longer.
That makes a lot of sense. Minimal exposure time.
Exactly. Then the third capability is session monitoring and auditing. Once someone does have that privileged access, temporary or not, you really need to know what they're doing with it. So this means things like real-time session recording, helps you spot suspicious activity as it happens. It also means keeping detailed audit logs, super important for compliance and for forensic investigations if something does go wrong. And increasingly, it involves using behavioral analytics to automatically flag anomalies, stuff that's out of the ordinary for that user or that system.
Like someone accessing files they never touch normally.
Precisely. Secret Server provides really robust monitoring and audit trails, and it's enhanced with integrated behavioral analytics to help pinpoint that truly unusual activity.
Okay, that flows logically. So you've secured the credential, granted temporary access, you're watching what happens. The next step seems to be limiting the potential damage if an account is compromised. Which brings us to least privilege enforcement. Now, that sounds great. In theory, only give people the absolute minimum access they need. But in practice, isn't least privilege often a massive headache for IT teams? How does Delinea make sure it doesn't just grind productivity to a halt or create an admin nightmare?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And automation is really the key answer there. Least privilege enforcement, yes, it means limiting user access to only what's absolutely essential for their role. Delinea's Privilege Manager product really focuses on this, especially across endpoints and applications. It can dynamically adjust privileges based on the task at hand and the current security situation. The goal is to minimize the damage from a compromised account by making sure users operate with the bare minimum privileges needed. This stops attackers moving laterally through the network easily.
Okay, but how does it avoid the admin burden?
Well, instead of IT admins constantly having to manually grant and revoke tiny permissions for every little thing, the system can handle a lot of it. It can automatically, dynamically elevate privileges just for a specific approved task, maybe just for a few minutes, and then immediately revoke them afterwards. That drastically cuts down the manual admin work while still boosting security. It's about making least privilege practical.
Right, practicality is key.
And finally, the fifth core capability. Comprehensive reporting and compliance. All this security effort needs to be visible. It needs to be provable, especially to auditors. So this capability provides integrated dashboards focused on compliance, giving clear visibility. It helps organizations meet all those regulatory standards we mentioned, GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS, and so on. Both Secret Server and Privilege Manager have advanced reporting features. Secret Server gives you those detailed audit logs and customizable dashboards. Privilege Manager extends that visibility right down to what's happening on individual endpoints, basically generating audit-ready reports whenever needed.
Okay, so those are the 5 core building blocks: secure storage, JIT access, monitoring, least privilege, and reporting. How do these pieces actually work together, though? Is it like a seamless fabric protecting everything, or more like separate layers that sometimes overlap? Where the synergy that makes the whole thing really powerful?
Oh, it's definitely designed to be a seamless fabric. That's where the real strength lies. Take JIT access and session monitoring, for instance. They synergize beautifully. When a user requests and gets approved for just-in-time access, that session can be immediately flagged for monitoring and recording.
Oh, okay.
And if, during that time-limited session, the behavioral analytics engine detects something really odd, maybe they try to access something totally unrelated to the task they were approved for, it can automatically trigger an alert. Or even terminate the session right then and there.
Proactive response.
Exactly. It prevents a potential incident from escalating. It's this kind of continuous feedback loop between the capabilities that provides much stronger security than any single piece could on its own.
Got it. That makes the combined power much clearer.
So let's connect this back to the real world. Let's take these building blocks and see how they actually help organizations tackle the problems they're facing right now, the real pain points. Think about securing modern workforces and environments. We talked about remote and hybrid work. It's exploded, right?
Absolutely. everywhere.
So for those remote employees, Secret Server provides that secure vaulting, JIT access, session monitoring. And Privilege Manager ensures those least privilege principles are applied consistently no matter where the employee is logging in from. Location doesn't weaken the security.
Crucial for remote work.
Then there's cloud migration and managing hybrid environments, part on-prem, part cloud. Secret Server secures credentials consistently across all those environments. Privilege Manager enforces policies on cloud assets, just like on-prem ones. You get uniform security.
No gaps between environments.
Right. And even in the fast world of DevOps and those CI/CD pipelines, continuous integration, continuous delivery, where software is built and deployed automatically. Secret Server can integrate JIT access and automate privilege elevation even for non-human identities like service accounts. And Privilege Manager enforces least privilege on the endpoints and services within that pipeline itself, securing the automation.
Okay, so cover these really modern ways of working.
Definitely. And then there's the whole area of addressing compliance and risk. This is always high priority. For ensuring compliance and just being ready for an audit, Secret Server provides those detailed logs, session recordings, compliance dashboards. Privilege Manager adds reporting specifically on endpoint activities. Everything is documented.
Making auditors happier.
Hopefully. And for mitigating those insider threats we discussed, Secret Server's continuous monitoring and recording helps spot unusual behavior. Privilege Manager limits the impact if someone does misuse their access because they operate with minimal privileges to begin with.
Contains the blast radius.
Exactly. When it comes to protecting sensitive data specifically, Secret Server secures and rotates the credentials needed to access it, while session monitoring helps detect any anomalous access patterns. And finally, securing critical infrastructure. Think about sectors like utilities, transportation, manufacturing. These are high-stakes environments. Privilege Manager enforcing least privilege on endpoints there is crucial for limiting the lateral movement of threats towards those absolutely vital systems.
Okay, that paints a clear picture of the practical applications. So pulling this together, what does this all really mean for you, the listener, or for any organization? It sounds like these technical solutions, they're not just about cybersecurity buzzwords. They directly lead to, well, tangible business results, right? A stronger security posture overall, better compliance, and IT operations that just, frankly, run more smoothly.
Absolutely. And that's where PAM shifts, I think. It moves from being seen just as a cost, a necessary evil for security, to actually being a strategic enabler for the business. It's not just about stopping bad things. It's about making the whole organization more agile, more resilient.
How so?
Well, AX, supporting digital transformation. Companies are always changing, adopting new tech. Secret Server ensures that PAM is consistent across all these new, diverse environments. It integrates smoothly with modern tools, like in DevOps, so you can transform securely without accidentally opening up new risks.
So security enables change rather than blocking it.
Precisely. And think about ensuring operational resilience and business continuity. When you automate PAM processes, which Delinea does with Secret Server and Privilege Manager, you streamline how access is managed. You cut down manual work. Crucially, during a cyber incident, this means faster recovery times, quicker containment. That's vital for business continuity.
Less downtime, less damage.
Exactly. And the direct impact on optimizing IT efficiency and reducing administrative overhead is pretty huge, too. Automating tasks like password rotation, setting up access for new users, generating compliance reports. It frees up IT teams.
Lets them focus on bigger things.
Right. They can work on strategic projects instead of getting bogged down in repetitive manual access management tasks.
So if we sum up the big picture benefits for customers, it sounds like dramatically enhanced security, definitely. Significant gains in operational efficiency, vastly improved compliance standing, the scalability and flexibility needed for modern IT, and overall, substantial risk mitigation. And you mentioned earlier, Delinea works across lots of different industries: finance, healthcare, government, retail, manufacturing, energy. Basically anywhere protecting critical systems and data is top priority.
That's right. Ultimately, a comprehensive PAM solution, like the one from Delinea, is really about giving organizations the confidence to operate effectively in today's, well, incredibly dynamic IT world. It secures their most valuable digital keys, it helps them run more efficiently, and it keeps them compliant. It lets them focus on their main goals, not just constantly playing defense.
So maybe a final thought to leave everyone with. Given how sophisticated cyber threats are getting, and how complex our IT environments continue to become, how might really understanding privileged access management change the way you think about digital security? whether it's in a big organization or even a small one. Maybe think about the critical access points, the keys to the kingdom in your own digital life or your workplace. What really makes them secure? Something to mull over.